is not unnoticed. So I appreciate everything that you're doing, and hopefully these are helpful for you. So we do this each and every single time so the world can see where we're coming in from. I'm jumping in from Sydney, Australia. So open that comment box. It's at the bottom. Drop in where you're coming from and let us know where you are. And this time, a bit of a flip. Tell me what the temperature is in Celsius. All right. Alka Gupta, for those who may or may not know, if you're reading content online, that's coming from Alka and her team. 20 Celsius. I love it. We have the metric system there. 24 metric system. Where's the American system coming up? Someone's gonna put Fahrenheit some point, right? Someone's gonna. There we go. We got a 60F. Sam, California, love it. 14 degrees. I am not jealous of you. Poland, awesome. Haven't been. 40 degrees. I've heard India's very heated right now. Raleigh, New York. Raleigh. I hope it's Raleigh. Had to Google the conversion. Thanks, Bobby, for doing that. Awesome, love it. We got Nairobi, Kenya. Jumbo. I lived there for 5 years in Parklands next to Jumbo. Nice. Habari yako. Sweet. Love it. Sweet. Let's get the heat going, everyone. We got almost 100 people watching. This is fabulous. We'll wait just another minute and we'll start. I know we're running a minute late. Runda down the road. Lovely. Nice. Awesome. I went to Premier Academy if that even is around. But sweet. Let's kick off. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in. We're gonna start because we've got a bunch of heated audiences over here. You can see a familiar face if you're part of our YouTube channel. We've got Noel over here, and we'll definitely let Noel jump in. I know most of you are here for him and not for me. I just want to take a very quick opportunity, regardless, to just walk you people through very quickly on what's happening, where your investment into us is going, and what's happening next for the business. So you're also aware, because a lot of you, there's almost 100 plus people here, have invested your business's entire existence on us. So we owe you that responsibility of knowing what's going to happen next. So very quickly, without wasting your time. So one of the core things our team, firstly, for context of the team, so your investment into the team is now sitting at 28, 29 people. We're hiring more engineers and infrastructure team members to make the business better. The main things that will matter to you is we're making the app faster. I've heard this overnight. Master inbox has to be faster. Analytics needs to be 100 times better. Two main things we've heard you. That is going to pop in for sure, right? It takes a lot of work because it's very silent work, given we pretty much manage terabytes and terabytes of data, tables with billions of rows. So we are working on it and we will have it ready soon. The POC is in place. It will take us a few weeks. Second thing, I'm going to let this out of the bag because people need to know. Smartlead is going to be integrating the wrong word. Smartlead is building its own ground up email deliverability platform. That means you will not need a Glock apps, MailReach, or any of these other tools. Everything will be done natively for the product. So you can ensure that any spam copy, your warm-up repetition, all that is done in a complete real life engine. And that will be as accurate as it can get. So that's going to be coming up in a few weeks, about 6 to 7 weeks. Email verification will be live very soon. So you can do native email verification, and we will be the cheapest and the most accurate in the world. So you don't need to use any third-party platform. Just dump it straight into ours and you should be good to go. Those are the two main things. The other things that are coming your way, there's tons of features from, you'll see that live with the campaign hygiene. We've got things coming up respective to the APIs, more real-time systems, maybe a mobile app coming up your way as well. We've got a CRM popping in soon, a better notification system. So for those who have notes and stuff built into the master inbox, we'll have a centralized hub for you to manage everything, almost like a to-do spot, right? So the product is going to be transforming drastically over the next few weeks to months. So please hook yourself in. It's going to be massive for you, and your investment is going to be 100% worth it. So now, with that being said, let's jump into it. We've now going to talk about a very core concept as to why people actually use Smartlead. One of the main reasons why there's 100 I know there's competition, but why do people stick here? Why are you over here? The API and the automation infrastructure is one of the core reasons people sign up to the product. Like how we integrate with Clay, how we integrate with other parties. And that's kind of why Noel's over here as well, right? Because if you're watching our YouTube videos and you keep watching them, Noel's going to take complete ownership of this, and he's doing a fabulous job, right? Actually, fabulous job. So super simple. Automation is how you will succeed in cold emails or sales nowadays. I think Taylor Hansen put a really great post saying salespeople have to transform from being the people who convince them. What sales, according to me, is a transfer of emotions from myself to yourself to make you believe in something the same way I believe in it. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just send my emotions across, right? But now sales is a bit more than that. It's abilities to automate your entire experience, finding leads the right way, automating how you actually appropriate these leads, how do you categorize these leads, how do you reply to them on time. All these things make a massive difference in actually hitting your quotas, targets, and bringing in that money. For that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone, I would love to introduce you to Noel. He got famous on LinkedIn for his 100-day automation challenge. Noel, thank you for humbly listening. We would love a quick introduction about yourself and what you're doing.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for the introduction. I'm super excited for those features, by the way, and very happy to be here. Thank you guys for joining. My name is Noel Maniraguha. I've built currently over 100 plus automations, and I've spent over 500 hours building these automations. Over the next few months, I'm planning on releasing 100 of them for free for you guys to copy and paste, like for free, right? No opt-in or anything required. And the reason why I'm choosing to dedicate over 1,000 hours to this project for free is because I think that automations as a skill set is going to be one of the most important skill sets over the next 3 to 10 years. Because what it allows you to do is, as an individual person, it allows you to take on the workload that you might otherwise have hired an employee for. And one of the key reasons why I love Smartlead is that it also helps you do this, right? With the really extensive APIs. And actually, very recently, they released a new feature, which was AI categorization and AI in the inbox to reply, and also in the campaigns. And inside a group chat that I'm in, two people responded, right, with very interesting comments. One of them said, I'm going to be switching from one of the competitors over to Smartlead because of this new feature. And another person said, because of this new feature, I'm probably going to have to let go of my inbox manager, who was previously doing all of that stuff, which is replying to emails, creating the templates, categorizing all of that stuff. And so the way that I see the future going is that from like a product perspective, Smartlead's perspective, it's super, super competitive. And so the innovation has to stay there for them to stay relevant. And so it's only going to keep going up how much automation is going to be required in the future. In addition to that, I think that based on that individual's comments and based on what I'm observing, I think that teams are going to get leaner and leaner as the seasons go by. And so the reason why I'm choosing to dedicate over 1,000 hours to these automations is because of that reason. I think that this is going to be a super valuable skill set, and I would love to transfer any of that knowledge over to you guys today.
Let's get it. That sounds fabulous. All right. So everyone, you might have questions, you might have hundreds of them. Drop them in the chat. We'll try our best to answer towards the tail end. We'll spotlight you. We'll get you to drop your question in. This is going to be a very practical experience. So Noel will start off in an easy experience, but he will also scale it up to be something a lot more complex as well. So Noel, before we kick off, let's maybe start off with any whenever someone gets into automations, what are some things people need to look out for? What are some milestones or some challenges that we need to be prepared for when we're starting our automation experience for our agency?
Yeah, so the first thing that you need to understand is there's two types of automations that you're typically building. One of them is a webhook, which is real-time data from one platform over to another platform. And then there's regular automations, right? Where we're grabbing the data that is perhaps in the Smartlead app and then utilizing that data to do something else, right? And so that's the first thing that you want to understand. Another challenge that you might start to face as you start to build these automations is reading the API documentation. Because if you've never read it before, it's going to seem super, super complex. And I've read a bunch of different ones, but Smartlead makes it super, super simple. What they have is a URL, which is what you're going to always use. And that URL includes the details that you're going to need to input, such as the campaign ID, your API keys, your lead ID. it's always going to be clearly displayed for you to easily know what you need to add. And then from there, what Smartlead allows you to do is choose from either a post or a get. And what a post does is it takes data from elsewhere and inputs it into the Smartlead application. And a get takes the data from Smartlead and then outputs it externally. And what I use is make.com. And so those are the two things. And so if you're reading the Smartlead API documentation and you find yourself confused, just remember that all you is the URL, and you need to understand what the post and the get is. If you have that URL, you can paste that URL in make.com as an HTTP module, and then you can basically start to build anything you want.
Lovely. All right, mate. Let's go for it. I think the audience, the people want to know, right? Let's go for it. The people want to know. So maybe if you want to share some automations that you think the audience will love, and this may be a good chance for the audience to maybe drop in a question of an automation that you're looking forward to or you want for yourself. And one or two things can happen. Noel's probably done a bunch of those videos on YouTube already, or maybe we can jump into that very quickly and just give a quick idea. So sweet, Noel, screen's yours.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So I've got a bunch of automations here. We can walk through all of like some of these ones, the ones that you guys want to build. Another thing that I want to share with you guys is project management. So if you're running an agency of some sort, you're going to need to have a project management tool that allows you to manage all of your clients. And so this is my project management tool. I've filtered out to only include my client. And this project management tool allows me to manage my domains, my campaigns, my sales funnel. And so whenever leads reply positively to any of my campaigns within Smartlead, they also get transferred over to this application. And using this information, I'm able to do many other things. So I'm able to create dashboards. I'm able to create unique dashboards as well that are unique to my clients. And so if we were to look at not the list view, the timeline view for this one client over here, we're able to see when all of my positive replies came in from like a daily basis. And so I'll have to go back because I haven't run any internal campaigns, but this is ClickUp. So we're going to go through ClickUp. We're also going to go through all of these different automations. And so if I was to say, like, you're brand new to Smartlead, you want to build an automation, what is the number one automation that you need to build? I would say it's something like this, which is notifications for replies. And this one is obviously somewhat complicated, but this one is probably the one that I would opt to build. What this allows you to do is receive notifications from your Smartlead account over to your Slack or to your Gmail account. And this is going to be very dynamic because this Google Sheets module that you're seeing in the center, this is going to be a client database that includes key client info. And so I was mentioning a project management system. How does this play a role in this type of automation? So when we go over to my clients section, you see all of these custom fields, right? We see the monthly value, the renewal date, which we've grabbed from the Stripe accounts, monthly value, same thing, the targets, all of these different things. But we also have other custom fields such as the recipients. We also have the Slack channel ID. And this using this Slack channel ID or these recipients, which
I might just jump in over here to just sort of, bounce along with what people might be asking. Where do I get the
yeah.
Slack channel ID? Is that just from the URL?
So the Slack, yeah. So it would be let me move this Zoom thing. It would be inside your Slack app. So app.slack. And I will go into one of my Slack channels.
You can just go to the Smartlead. Oh yeah, you can go into your own one. Yeah. It's at the top, right? When you click on the channel, it'll show up the channel ID. Yeah, cool.
That's where it would be.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, when we
right
go
one?
over,
Yeah.
it would be right here at the bottom over here.
Nice. Perfect. Got it.
And so this is something that you might do in the onboarding on the offset. So you put the Slack channel. However, I have an automation that allows me to set this up. So if you recall in my introduction, I said one individual doing the work of a bunch of different people, right? Taking that workload on themselves. And so whenever I onboard a new client, I have this automation right here, which basically does a lot of things. So all I do from my workload, I simply add a new client here with the name and these fields right here. So the company name, the recipients, the Slack channel ID. And then from there, it's going to do a whole bunch of other stuff. And so this automation creates the Smartlead client using this URL endpoint right here. It adds the fields over to HubSpot, creates a HubSpot list as well, so that all of the contacts that we contact in the future get added to HubSpot. It also adds them as a Stripe contact. And if they are already a Stripe contact, we add the monthly value, the renewal dates, and all that other stuff here. And we do a whole bunch of other stuff. So we create an onboarding doc, which is a templatized onboarding doc that includes key information. And actually, when looking at one of my client communications, right, this is information that I was sending from that onboarding doc. Actually, this is not it. So this is like something it would be. So the onboarding doc does research for me, and it tells me like who should we target. And I sent that as an email, just like as a message, like, hey, this is who we're contacting. I purchased the domains, I put them in that onboarding doc and sent it over to a client. And so this is something that you're going to be leveraging in the future. And so the way that I would like you to think about this is it's a three-dimensional workspace. So every single thing works with one another. So we've got the clients working with the domains, working with the campaigns, working with the sales funnel. And so when going to the sales funnel, we have the clients right here, which came from the clients fields. And everything is working with one another. So if we needed to create a report for our client, we would be referencing something from this view, for example. And so curious if you guys have any questions or just
Yeah,
quick
I
thoughts there.
reckon we should just jump in. Probably would be worthwhile to just check a quick view of the chat as well and see what people are asking. So there's some questions that are coming in over there, where people want to know how you can, and we'll get to this soon. People want to know how we can forward the replies they get in Smartlead to a client's mail inbox. Maybe if we can just jump into that while we'll jump into that after you finish your thing. So no main questions yet, I think. But yeah, I think we should just open up Make or whatever you've got over here in your Notion doc, and then actually get into it and see how people can actually make this happen.
Cool. And so this is Make, and this is the API documentation that I was talking about. So it's on api.smartlead.ai. And so the first thing that we're going to have to determine when building this automation is determining whether it's going to be initiated by a webhook or whether it's going to be initiated by whether it's going to be initiated by a webhook or whether it's going to be initiated by an HTTP module. And so which one was the one that they wanted to build? It's forwarding to a client, or what exactly?
I think they wanted to figure out how I can forward the replies I receive in the master inbox to a dedicated client's main inbox. So it shouldn't be like a webhook to basically listen to replies and then push that into, push that to a dedicated mailbox or something.
That's correct. So if you have a bunch of different clients, I think having a client database is probably the first thing I would do. And actually, I have a Smartlead client database that you can copy and paste here. So this is a Sheets file that has all of that information. So this is the client database. And what you're going to need to have is recipients custom fields, right? So either it could be a bunch of recipients or it could be one recipient. And so once we know that, we're able to dynamically map it over to that client. The next thing that you're going to want to get is the client add-on within Smartlead, because if you don't have that, it's going to be really hard to do do what you're looking for. And so having the client add-on within Smartlead and having the recipients dynamically added here, you're then going to be adding the client ID from Smartlead over to your client database. And so I've got my client ID right here. So to get started, you're going to be forwarding all of the emails. And so if you wanted to do it in, there's two ways to do it. So the first thing you can do is you can reply using this email reply feature or you can use the lead category updated. Both of these are going to work just fine. Me personally, I prefer the lead category updated. So anytime I change it to a positive category, it forwards the latest reply over to the client. And so we'll just do this for now, but you can do email reply if you want to. And so the category I'm going to do is meeting request for now. And then you would choose a webhook name. And the webhook URL would be grabbed from your make.com account. And there's going to be 3 options, and you would be choosing the custom webhook. And from there, you can add a name to the webhook and simply copy the URL that you get. And so using that URL, I'm going to paste it over here and then send a test webhook. So this is what I was talking about, right? A webhook is a way to get data from one platform and then send it over to another platform instantaneously. And so this data right here is coming from the Smartlead account, and we've just got all of this information. So this is a test webhook. It's not real data, but it gets the point across. And so if you wanted to forward over to your client, the next thing you would be doing is using your client database. And so when I search up for my ClickUp account here, I would be filtering the tasks. So list filtered tasks, or if you're using Google Sheets, you would be looking for list search rows or Airtable, very similar things. So you can do all of this stuff. And from here, I'm going to choose the list ID right here, which would be grabbed in the URL. And by the way, if you're ever looking for campaign IDs, lead IDs, any of those things, and you don't know where to find them, you can always check the URLs, because those URLs are usually going to contain that key information. And so I will go ahead and use that list ID and the custom field. I'll do this right here. So list custom fields, and I'll get those right here, which we're looking for the client ID right here. And so the client ID is going to be somewhere here. Actually, I'll just use company for now. And so you don't want to use company, you want to use client ID as that's what is going to be relevant for you. But just for the sake of time here, I'm going to choose client ID. And so I've also put Afonto here. That's not what you would be doing. You would be putting the lead ID right here. But for the sake of the example, this is going to illustrate that. And so from here, you're able to run this module again. And when using a test webhook again from Smartlead, we send the data over to equals Afonto. Oh, actually, it's not Afonto. It would be 1 equals 1. We're able to get to the data from our ClickUp account. And so, equals 1. Oh my God. Company.
This is good because people get to see how you're debugging, which I think is just as important as actually building it yourself.
Okay, that's good then. In that case, then I'll use the actual method that I would be using, which would be
you do what you have to do. We're all here to just see, because I think debugging is a very important skill, and people will understand how they can do this if they make the same mistake. And then after we give this a crack, we'll look at some of your pre-built ones.
Cool. So list all accessible custom fields. We'll just get that again. And we're going to do it properly this time, which is going to be finding the client ID. And so client ID, and then I will find that here. So Stripe link, renewal date. And by the way, these are all the fields that I use right here. So client ID is right there. So I put the client ID, I put it here, and the client ID would be 7048. And then we paste that here. And when I run this once, what does it say? Total number of bundles. Oh, you know what it is? Include closed. I should know this. And by the way, that is why I spend so long doing these things. So it might look like I'm really quick with these things, but it's just a whole bunch of trial and error. And so if you find yourself working on an automation for 5-10 minutes and it's not working, just understand that like it happens to all of us. And so we've found my contact information right here. And from here, we're going to send a test webhook again. And now dynamically, we're able to find the client, the recipients of that email. So we've got the data from our Smartlead account, and that also, by the way, includes the last reply, right? And then from there, we're able to map it to the correct client, because you're going to have different clients and you want to be able to map it to the correct client. And when mapping it over to the correct client, we have a whole bunch of custom fields. And so these are the custom fields. And what I was referring to is the recipients. And so this is who you're going to be forwarding those emails to dynamically. And so if it was a different client, it would be different recipients. And so from here, you want to forward the email. And so that depends. Like, how do you want to forward the email? Do you want to simply reply to the email and add them as a CC? Or do you want to simply send them a Slack notification, including the reply? And so the simplest way is probably doing it in the second way. So showing them just like, hey, here's the last reply that we had. If you want to reply, here's the app URL that they can simply log into with Smartlead. If you wanted to do the forwarding thing, that's a little bit more complex. And it would require you to use one of these automations here, which is master inbox, I think. Reply to lead from master inbox via API. And how I would add that person is using the CC. And so what you need to go do is go to api.smartlead.ai, and the URL is going to be found at the top of the page right here. So you would simply copy this URL right here and then paste it over into Smartlead. And so Smartlead does not have an module right now, but I'm sure that's coming in the near future. But for now, you would simply use the HTTP module and look for the make or request section. And then you would be pasting your details
URL
here.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
And so the campaign ID would be coming from the very first module. And so when a lead replies, we get their campaign ID. And so looking into make right here, the campaign ID would be found somewhere. Oh, right here. So this is the campaign ID. And all you would need to do is simply input the API key right here. From there, if you recall, I mentioned that there's two methods that you can use. You can use a get or you can use a post. And the get is getting information, but in this case, we want to reply to that thread with the client. And so you would simply post a message. And from here, you would input the request content. And so the request content looks something like this. You would copy this information and simply paste it over into this HTTP module using the JSON format. And so you'd paste that, and I think you don't actually need some of these. Some, like, I think reply to message, but yeah, I think even if you were to just do it like this, it would work. But this one, I think I typically delete. Yeah. So this is the content that you would be putting in, and this one as well I delete normally. So this is the content that you would be putting in, and the main thing we're looking for is that CC message right here. So CC, you would be CCing your client or be CCing them. And what you would be using is that recipients thing right here. And so that is the main way that you can accomplish that task. But if you're going to take anything away, is having a client dashboard. So a client workspace with all of the custom fields. Because whenever I'm creating reports for my clients, I do the exact same thing. If I'm doing something like this, I use the client's workflow. And so hopefully that answered your question. Curious if there's any other questions.
No, I think that was fabulous, and there'll be more coming in. But now let's maybe go into something that you've got set up pre-built. I think people would love to see, take an example of a scenario that you think a lot of your clients appreciate you doing and how you've set that up. I think that'll be a massive win for us.
Cool. And so let's look here on some of the ones, right? So automated task for email disconnects, campaign backups. So I did mention that this is probably the most important one, the notification for replies. And so I've already shown you how to do the client database. I'm going to show you without the, actually, no, let's do with the client database. Actually, this is a better one. So high bounce and low leads monitoring. So whenever you're running your campaigns, you want to ensure that you're getting as low of a bounce rate as possible to ensure that your deliverability is as good as it can be. Alongside that, you want to make sure that you always have leads in your campaigns to contact every single day so that you're not missing any sending days. And so all I would do here is simply download the blueprint. And when I navigate over to my Smartlead account, I will import the blueprint at the bottom of the page. And so import blueprint. And it's already built. Like that's the idea. It requires very little actual work. So you would input your API key, which would be found in the your profile section right here. And so I've just inputted mine and I quickly, like very sneakily changed it. So you don't want to actually be sharing your API key with anyone. Just a heads up.
Don't
So
worry,
you,
we'll flip that for you. Not a big deal.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I've got my API key here, and you want to basically create a Slack webhook. And to create a Slack webhook, you would actually the easiest way to illustrate that is doing it from scratch. So you would navigate over to your Slack app and go to the more section and go to automations. And from there, there's going to be this apps feature. And using that, you're able to search for incoming webhook. And so incoming webhooks, you can click on that and go to the configuration. And from there, you will get to choose an incoming webhook. I've actually created a bunch of them, but I really only ever use this one. And you can use the same webhook for any different channels. You're able to map it over to different channels, and I can show you how. So anyways, you simply create one, and once it's been created, this is the page that you're going to be redirected to, where you can get the webhook URL. And so I've got the webhook URL right there, and then I'm going to paste it over here. And from here, you're going to be using these URL endpoints to get all campaigns, iterating through all the campaigns, getting the analytics, and ultimately, we're going to be notifying using the Slack webhook. And like I said, all of this is already built. You don't need to do anything. It's only going to be notifying you for any clients that have not been notified. And so let me actually choose a channel. So I actually like to use this testing channel right here. And I'll delete everything that was here before to show you guys how it looks like in practice. And then I will choose the Slack channel ID at the bottom of the page here, which I will then paste at the very end here, which is the Slack URL. You would simply add a comma, add two quotation marks, and input channel. And from there, you're able to dynamically map it to different channels. And so if you wanted to do something like that, you would simply do this. And so I'm going to copy that and then paste it in this section right here as well. And then and then we should be good. So from here, all I need to do is simply run this. So I'm going to use the API key right here and then run it. And the very first module here is going to be getting every single campaign that I have within my Smartlead account. And then from here, we're going to be checking all of the analytics for all of those accounts. And so every single campaign, including subtasks, we're going to be getting the analytics for that. And so if you wanted to exclude your subtasks, by the way, all you would need to do is simply exclude your parent campaign ID, which would be found over here. And from there, it's going to iterate through all of this data. And the very last modules here are called aggregators. And so what this does is it aggregates all of that data to one of your specific clients. And so if you look here, I'm grouping it by the client ID, and we're using the value, which is not started. And from here, we're aggregating all of those analytics again, and then creating a message for each of our individual clients and using a hyperlink that looks something like this. And so what Slack uses, for those of you that may be unaware, is a format called Markdown. And so if you're sending messages to Gmail or anything of that nature, you would be using HTML. But inside Slack, it would be Markdown format, and this is how you create a hyperlink. And so we've created a hyperlink and we've sent the notification over to Slack, which should look something like this. And so when we navigate over back to the testing channel, you're able to see at the very bottom of the page right here that we've got a notification that's saying add leads over to campaign. And this is what it looks like. And we don't have any bounce notifications, right? So let me check what happened. And so what happened here, we're checking for any email, any campaigns with more than 300 prospects that have a bounce rate over 3%. And when looking at this, we received no information. Therefore, this filter prevented a notification from coming through. However, if I was to just do this as an example, we're going to say greater than 0%, which all of my campaigns are going to be greater than 0%. We're going to actually one other thing. So if you want to test individual things and you don't want to run your entire campaign, you can simply disable a route. And so I'm going to disable the route to prevent myself from getting campaign analytics at the top. And I'm simply going to focus on bounce rates. And so all my campaigns are going through, and any campaigns that have a bounce rate over 0% are going to be coming in the testing channel. And so this one, 0%, 0%, 2%. And so one last thing to mention is that it is checking for all active campaigns. And so you can really do anything that you want. And one quick heads up with automations that I see a lot of people making mistakes on is trying to build automations without knowing what the end output looks like. And so what I typically do whenever I'm starting a brand new automation is I think to myself, what am I doing personally, manually, that I could be automating? And so normally in my day, I go to my Smartlead profile, I filter out for all the active campaigns, I hover over them to find out how many leads are not started, and then I send that over to myself as a report or whatever. And so that's how this automation was built out. I would caution you against building things from thin air, especially like with reporting. That's where I see a lot of people making mistakes there.
Right, that is fabulous. Thank you. You just given away a couple $100 worth of a course for people, so I think everyone's appreciative of that. What I'm gonna do is maybe take this opportunity to ask you some questions on automations that you think an agency owner should have.
Yep. So I've gone through these ones that are already here. I'm actually going to be releasing a few other ones in the future. But one that I think that you should just like try to build out. Maybe you can message me. I'll see if I can build something for you. But right now it's not there yet. Is a weekly reporting for your clients. I know a lot of you guys don't have anything like that, and so it would actually be something like this. So this is a weekly report that I sent to my client, brand new client. We sent it over. I've customized this weekly report, and I sent them a description, which was, we saw a positive reply, which quickly turned into a book meeting on day one, which is encouraging. And the process that we're going through is basically creating a bunch of different campaigns to find a winning variation that works. And so this is the email that I sent over. And I also include a Loom video over here, which is like 5 minutes. The reason why I do this, by the way, is to avoid meetings. Because would I rather spend 5 minutes recording a Loom for my client, or would I rather spend 30 minutes on an actual meeting? I choose the Loom, right? And so that's why I've done something like this. And the automation that helps me do this, I've actually got 2 of them, is this one right here, which is step 1, weekly reports, and I've got step 2 as well. So there's 2 steps in here. The first one, bi-weekly client report. The first one here is analyzing all of my Smartlead data. We're using, again, the client database. And I think that if you run an agency, this is probably like mandatory. You have to have this. If you don't, you're going to struggle. So we're using the client database, and the client I'm actually sending this to is, so let me pull up the correct columns. So hide all, and then I'm going to get the recipients, the company, the client. I think that's it. And then I will pull them up right here. So Team Epic. So we've got Kunal right here, and these are the emails that I'm using as a recipient. So I've already got all these emails here, and they will be going through on email like this. And so
Hey, that
this
looks
is
so
what
good. Just FYI, that's so good. Like, I mean, that's like it's such an easy way to retain a customer, just to let them know that, hey, we've generated this amount of, like, we work with Matt Lucero, like I said, and he does this on Slack, and it's such a re-engagement engine that just attributes that it attributes the money they're paying you, even if maybe you haven't spoken to them in X amount of time. It just shows that, okay, cool, I have got results as a result of this. So yeah, good
Exactly.
stuff, good
And
stuff,
like
good stuff.
as the weeks go by, like this number, like it's one because it's literally day one. But
Yeah,
as
but that
the
goes up.
weeks,
Yeah, yeah.
it goes up and they start to see like this is making a lot of sense. And so, and we also use ChatGPT, by the way. So this is my prompt. It's not very good. It's just like, hey, analyze all of this data, compare the all-time stats with the 14-day stats, and try to find some positive trends and draft up a message for me. And so we're going to direct this over to our testing channel. And so, by the way, what I've used here is called a Slack block kit, and I can go over that if you guys have questions on that. But I'm going to direct this to I don't know where that goes. I think I'm gonna mess it up. So we're just gonna send it to the regular channel. So inside, like on a Monday morning, if you actually look at my calendar, I have this time block right here, which is like create videos for weekly client reporting. And so if I
Nice.
have 5 clients, 10 clients, whatever, I'm trying to fit all of that in this 1 hour block. And if I've got one client, I'm going to try to make the best report that I can. If I've got 10, squeeze all of that. And so
Super cool.
every single Monday at 11 a.m., I'm going to be receiving a Slack message that looks something like this. And in this Slack message, we're going to see all of the engaged leads, the prospects contacted, all of that. And we're also going
Nice.
to have that description right here. From here, all I need to do is simply paste a video URL. So the Loom video that we've just created, I would be sending that. However, I can also send a test email, which is what I've actually just done. So I've just sent a test email. And so we're going to be receiving another email shortly, which is going to include the data from the client, but it's going to be sent to me as a quick check to see whether it works out. And by the way, if you don't have a video, you don't have to include a video. So all of this is built to be dynamic. And so if you recall, I didn't paste a Loom video because I didn't have one. And so I've just done this, right? And so that's how I do weekly client reporting,
It's
a
crazy.
system
Yeah.
like this. And so that's the first thing I would do. And if I was to send it to a client, we've got the recipients right here. Where do these recipients come from? They come from the client database. And when you simply click on send email to client, it goes directly to the client and then deletes this message for you. So that's one of the ones that I would recommend.
Hey, this is awesome. Like, I think this would be a nice, like, kick in the head for everyone who's running an agency, that this is what you're competing against, right? Like, generally here. So Noel is a competitor of yours, technically speaking, if you're an agency, and this is what you're competing against. So while you're doing your stuff manually, this man's automated his job. He's a one-man show. Maybe he's got VAs and stuff, and he's crushing it. So I think that is levels, like Jordan put out. One question that came through, which is the template that you have, was that a Gmail node from Make, or is it from HubSpot? Because I saw HubSpot the header.
The template that I've got here.
Yeah, yeah.
So this comes from an app that I do not remember. It was like Ever something.
Okay, so
Maybe it's
you
gonna.
got something to generate like an HTML for you or something.
Yeah, you just actually, if I was to search up email HTML template,
Okay, cool. Got it. So you basically use
so
those
it's
email
going.
template generators, and then you pop it into Make.
You export it, right? So you
Yeah.
export it, and when I create a message, I'm simply just pasting that
Got it. And
HTML
you're putting the
and
variables. Okay.
and then
So too
putting
easy.
variables.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Awesome. Cool. Everyone, this is I'm again speechless. I've been quiet for a reason. Is because I'm actually learning from you as well, which is which is always a positive sign for me. But we're going to open up the floor like we have in the past. I understand this has been a bit more of a technical workspace compared to other people, so you may or may not have questions based upon how you're going. But if you do have questions, at the bottom right corner there's a reactions icon. You just want to click on the hand icon and maybe raise your hand. There we go. Okay, we've got a few coming up already. Raise your hand and we will go ahead and spotlight you and give you the mic so you can go ahead and drop in any questions that you have. Sweet. Well, while everyone else is doing that, if there is, Swapnil, do you mind spotlighting? I know it's Beckett, but I don't know if it's Mike or Mark or so. Please forgive me. I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Michael.
Michael,
Sorry.
you will.
Great.
So Michael, you'll have to switch on your video so that I can spotlight you. If not, it's fine. You can just go ahead and ask the question anyway.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my question was actually about the new AI categorization that you have in Smartlead. So I've been using the out of office, the older one, basically. And that enabled us to sort of reconnect with somebody after a certain time, or the market is out of office and then continue with the campaign. But I'm struggling to find a way to do that with the
It'll come out in
AI
it should come back by today or tomorrow latest. It's already done as a feature. We just need to deploy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So it was a missing feature from our side. We'll bring it in.
Fine. Okay. Cool. Fantastic. Easy. Looking forward to it. That was it.
Okay. Cool. All right. So sweet. Cool. Did we have any other questions that anyone wanted to raise on the automation side? Oops. Sorry. Was that no? Yes. No. Okay. Syed, you can unmute yourself, and then we have, and if you could turn on your camera so we can spotlight you. Hello, can you hear us?
Hey guys, thank you very much for this awesome session. So I have a very quick question for you, Noel. Can you just quickly summarize the onboarding automation? I kind of missed that part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like in 1 minute, quickly summarize it.
Yeah, so here's how I would summarize it. Think of the last time you onboarded a client and think of every single step that you had to take with that client, every single one. And within the first day of onboarding them. So are you sending them a recap email? Are you sending them an onboarding documentation? Are you adding any custom fields over to HubSpot or any different tools? Are you creating them as a client within Smartlead? And then backtrack all of the manual work that you did for that client into an automation. And so my client onboarding process is simply doing that. So whenever I onboard a new client, normally what I have to do is create them in my Smartlead account, create them in my HubSpot account, create an onboarding doc, do all of that, but I've simply automated that. And so that's the biggest thing I would tell you, because what I've got is probably going to be very different than what you're going to be building.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. I hope that helps out. We've got 2 questions popping in, and we'll see how we go from that. We've got Nico. Nico, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and turning on your camera if you can. Oh, you're upside down. I'll take it. I'm in Australia, so. Wait, I just need to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey,
sorry, my camera is upside down. It's the first time. All right, it's embarrassing. Anyway, I just want to ask. Hey, Noel, great stuff you got there, man. I really want to learn how to do automations and all for Smartlead. So, I just want to ask, have you used AirScale in contrast to Play? Because I do believe that there are folks building automations on that.
I have not. AirScale, that's super interesting. I have not. But I will make one quick comment on competitors for make.com and things like that. A lot of people use pricing as a decision maker for automations, and they tend to say like, this is cheaper or whatever. I tend to disagree with that notion, because if you think about what automations are, they are taking something that is manual and then automating that. And that thing that is manual usually takes a human to do. And humans' time is usually way more worth than a robot, which you're paying $10, $20, $30 a month, right? And so I would,
Exactly.
unless you're paying hundreds of dollars for make.com or Clay or any of these tools, I would not look too much at like the pricing of those tools.
All right. That's nice. And also last question, do you provide training to of N8N and DigitalOcean?
I do not. I do not.
You can check out his LinkedIn. He posts a bunch of stuff. You can check out our
Thank
YouTube.
you.
We're partnering with Noel on it. And obviously
so
on the
much.
Slack channel if you reach out. Sweet. Thanks, Nico.
Cheers, cheers.
Cool.
Sorry for the camera.
No, it's all good. You gave me a good spin in my head. We've got Danny over here, and we'll take one last question and then kick off. All right, we've got the glasses out. Love it. Oh no, I hope you're driving safe, Danny. Oh, you need to unmute yourself, mate. Yeah, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go. It wasn't allowing me to. All right, sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, so I had a question on connecting to Gmail. A lot of the automation stuff is new to me. I'm going to be watching the videos, learning, rewatching this, figuring out how to use Make. But I have a client that simply would like the replies forwarded to their Gmail account. And I was curious if there's an easier, simpler way without doing the automations through Make to set up that forwarding where they could reply right out of their Gmail. That was just a request that they had. If not, no worries, but just wanted to check to see if there was a better way or easier way without setting up the different triggers and automations.
Not that I can think of. Not that I can think of. But like obviously like there probably is one, but just not one that I can think of. And also you have to think about like the long-term implications of something like this. Do you expect every single client to want to do something like this? If so, then maybe it is worth building. But if this is something that you're not expecting every single client to do, it's super niche, or maybe they're not even pushing you that hard onto it, your time is very limited. And so I would probably use that time on something that is going to be like a bigger thing for your business.
Just take the time and figure it out to utilize Make to make that connection. Is that what you're saying?
If that's what you want, yeah. If you feel like this is going to have a super big impact on the business and every single client is going to want something like this, then yeah. But looking at some of the people out there like Nick Abraham, Leadbird, they don't do something like that. What I recall they do is they simply send a Gmail email to the client, simply informing them to respond, but they're not responding through the Gmail account. So it's not a forwarding system. They're doing sort of a URL redirect and responding from different platforms, which may be Smartlead, maybe Airtable. I'm not sure what the system looks like, but they're doing a URL redirect as opposed to replying directly from Gmail.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think the Slack notification would be helpful. And then once they have that, they can just hop back into Smartlead. They're just not the most tech savvy, and it's as simple as it can be within Smartlead, but for whatever reason, they don't like to use it.
And by the way, actually, go on.
No, go. No, this is your floor.
No, I was gonna say like Smartlead has a super cool, like really cool kind of hidden feature, which is external scripts, and I've actually been learning a lot about those. But moving forward, I'm actually moving everything to Smartlead. So I was doing like reply directly from Slack and all of these different things. But once I found out about the external scripts, I realized like you can actually like make Smartlead your own and make it super powerful. So maybe that's too complicated, but maybe it's also something worth looking into. So I would say look into Smartlead a little bit more, because I think that's probably where I'm going to be heading in the near future.
Excellent. Yeah, and I know once they have their mobile app, they'll have the push notifications too. So that could be helpful. Are there desktop notifications currently?
Sorry?
Is there a way to set up desktop notifications currently?
Everything. So the way we've done it is like an open API. So you can do everything you want. You just need to have an interim layer, which is like a Make or N8N or API, and you can self-host it if you want, if it's free. But everything can be done. You just need to have that interim gap that can do it for you. But we've set it up so that you can get everything through the product. So, Danny, thank you. I appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you, guys.
And all good. We had one person, Jonathan. I think so. Jordan, sorry. Jordan popping in his name up, but looks like that's gone. All right, everyone, this has been fabulous. If you, okay, wait, we got Jordan. We'll go for one last question. Oh, we lost Jordan. Comes and goes. He comes and goes. All right, we'll wait for a second if he comes back, but in the situation he doesn't. This is going to be uploaded. It's going to be in the Slack channel. Noel's part of our Slack channel. Noel's a very, very friendly person, and he's been very grateful with his time as well. Noel's also pushing on YouTube as well as his own LinkedIn. So give him a follow for all the amazing stuff he's done over here. He's sharing a lot of value there and on YouTube. So if you have any questions, these are all the areas where he's spreading his knowledge. And of course, if you want to sign him on as a agency, reach out to him directly. If you want to get advice and consulting, I don't know if he does it, but reach out to him directly to get that feedback. So everyone, thank you. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week for another epic session. Peace.
Awesome. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.